Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Awesome. Okay. So we are talking today about why you must hold a huge vision. And this is honestly, as I was thinking about this morning, this is probably one of the most important messages I've ever brought to you. Allison, hey, good morning. How are you? Jamie, how are you? Oh, I'm so excited to see you ladies this afternoon. This is really, really important. Okay. So I want you to really listen to what I'm about to share with you because this will change your life. If you're joining live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, pop a comment so I can know that you're here. So I want to share with you something that happened over the past week or so and the download and insight that I had about it. So I had a big aha today because okay, let me give you some context. If you've been following my social media, I've had some really big wins lately, like bigger than I could have imagined. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because if this can happen for me, it can happen for you. 100%. So I made the leap from like $10 to $15,000 months to $100,000 month in February. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like I've actually figured out how to manifest what I want and how to have like that fast quantum leap. Well, it happened again this month. So I've had my second 6-figure month. And again, the only reason I'm sharing this is because I want to take you on this journey with me so that you can apply what I've learned and what I'm learning to your own, whatever your own version of that quantum leap is. So one would think, Elise, you just had 2 6-figure months. Aren't you satisfied? Like, aren't you going to chill? Aren't you, aren't like, what more could you want? And one would think that, right? And aren't you thrilled? Aren't you like over the moon? Aren't you ecstatic? Am I thrilled? Yes. Am I beyond grateful because I understand how it actually worked and that it was Spirit and God working through me? Yes, 100%. But I found myself like this past week starting to dip into lower vibe, like lower energy around everything. And I say, heck no, you don't sound no. Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna tell you why though. And because this was a big aha for me. I had achieved these things that were bigger than what I envisioned I would do anytime soon. And I I stopped there and I started, and so part of it is like when you manifest something big, there is then the enjoyment of it, right? So I got some new clothes. That was fun. I've pretty much totally retired Jason so he can study full time for medical school, which is also really exciting. And so I've enjoyed this process of the physical creation of the thing I was working on manifesting and like living that out now. But because I've been then experiencing that, I hadn't stopped to think about what's next because, frankly, it felt so big that my mind almost couldn't comprehend what was next. And I found myself having that limiting belief of, well, you're doing like 100 a month now. Like, why do you want more? Why do you need more? And what happened is I ended up feeling low vibe over the past week or so. And what I've realized and learned, and this is why I want to share this with you, because there are people who are going to watch this who bring in more than that every month and people who watch this who bring in less. It doesn't really matter what the amount is. But if you're not continuously working towards a vision that is so big that you actually don't know how you're going to achieve it, you're going to get down and depressed. It's actually how it works. So there's if you listen to or read Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, I think it's chapter 14, he talks about the impression of increase. And it talks about every single human being, we are actually wired for expansion. We are wired to grow. And when you hit a big target and you experience that, and the reason I hit it and the reason you bring in any amount of money you bring in your life is because that's the frequency that you've set. So I figured out, how do I set a higher financial frequency, and then the money came in, right? But when you set that target and you achieve it, if you're not continuing to grow from there, then it's like you're decaying. Okay. So things in nature that don't keep growing, they decay. And what I realized was, if you have time, like, because I found myself getting negative, I found myself feeling some anxiety around things. And what I realized was like, I hadn't reset my vision for what the next thing was that stretched me beyond this, because I've figured out how to do this now. So what's the next step? What's the next level of the expansion? And it's not, here's the key distinction. It's not coming from a place of greed. It's not coming from a place of like ego or I'm better or anything like that. It can't come from that, because that's actually just a mask for insecurity. It comes from a place of massive gratitude, but also realizing that your expansion and your desire to expand is just God and the universe expressing itself, themselves, whatever your language is, through you, and having that, also wanting that experience of consistent expansion. And so here's the deal though, and this is, oh, you're so welcome, Cynthia. I'm so glad you're here on LinkedIn. Yeah. So this is the deal, because I used to get so hung up in like the how, right? If I didn't know how I was going to achieve a goal, I wouldn't set it. But Bob Proctor says this, I said this yesterday on my live, and I'll say it again. If you set a goal and you actually know how it's going to happen, it's not big enough. It's just not. And the way that you'll get tripped up in it, and the way that you'll actually stop the manifestation from happening, is by trying to figure out the how. And I realized this, and it was actually useful to have the contrast this past week, because I know now what it feels like to be in that state where you're manifesting and creating something big. And I'll tell you, you're not at all up here. You're all in here. You're all in your heart. You feel that pull. You feel that gratitude for the thing that you desire, even though it hasn't happened yet in your world. But the moment you pop up here and start to get into the how and using your analytical brain to try to figure it out and sort it out, you actually cut off your connection to inspiration, ideas, and source. And I know, because it's been a bit of a wobble like these past, I'd say 3 to 5 days or so. And when I found myself in that state of like lower vibration, I wouldn't have new ideas show up, or the ideas that showed up were like, meh, they were fine, but I would take action on them and then they would be like just inconsequential. Nothing really great would happen from it. When I feel connected to source, spirit, God, again, whatever your language is, you use that. And I feel that gratitude for that future that hasn't happened yet, things will drop in as intuitive nudges. But it's more like, it's small. It's not some big voice that like beats you over the head and says, do this now. It's this small knowing. Like, I'll get names of people to reach out to. So if you've had me DM you, then you know that your name has dropped in as an intuitive nudge. And that's, and it's like, I follow it. Like, I'm not really attached to what happens, but I know that when I stay in that state and that energy of the thing that's being created next, and those ideas drop in, your only job is just to follow them and just take that next step, and just know that through following them, like, some of it's going to happen exactly how you think it is. Some of it's going to happen differently, but your only job is just to follow those instincts. But you have to be continuously setting that vision that forces you to grow and become somebody other than who you are at the point at which you were setting that goal. Oh, Rachel, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. You're like the queen of this. So this is it, guys. So I set some new goals this morning, and I found once I did, these were goals that they're stretching me again, because I don't know how they're going to happen. But frankly, I don't care. And this is the mindset we have to have. And it's the opposite of everything you're taught, especially if you're watching this and you're in corporate, or you're coming from a more like masculine kind of training process where it's like, you need to know exactly what you're doing and when, and how is this going to happen, and yada, yada. It defies logic. Everything that's great that you create in your life, it's going to defy logic. There's nothing logical about the leap that I feel so grateful to have experienced this year. And if I had tried to be logical about it, I know it wouldn't have happened, because I would have cut off my connection to source, which gave those ideas and those inspirations to let it happen. So I'm going to share a few more ideas on this, but if you're live, I want you to, especially if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, I can't see you unless you comment. So put a comment below with, what is your question about vision, and why are you holding yourself back from setting a bigger vision? I know for me, I used to hold myself back because I would be afraid it wouldn't happen. I would be afraid that I'm going to go for this big thing and it's not going to happen. Hey girl. Oh, Abby, I'm so glad you're here. This is probably the most important message I've ever shared. But again, your job is not to know the how. Your job is not to know the how. Your job is to set a vision that is so exciting that when you think about it, you feel giddy. And you have to suspend the disbelief that it's not possible for you. You got it. When those thoughts creep in, boom, bye, done. Again, I don't care. I don't know how this is going to happen, and I don't care. All that I know is that I feel drawn to this thing. I feel it lights me up. It feels expansive in my body. It was an idea I had that feels aligned with where I'm going. And you just trust that. You have to trust that. And you have to know as you take steps towards that vision, the how gets revealed. But you're not going to see it when you first step out. You never see it again, because when you make that decision, there is so much power in making a decision. When you decide and you, in that moment of decision, you do something to burn the boats, whatever that is, like whether it's putting money on your credit card for coaching like I did, that I didn't even know where the money was going to come from, or whether it's like doing a public declaration. Like one of my new students the other day, she put money on her credit card to do my program, and then she went live and she did a live that she'd wanted to do forever that scared the crap out of her, to show up and be visible about something she was feeling called to do. And it was so beautiful and it was so profound, and it touched me and it touched all the women who watched in such a profound way. But it's that step, and then the next step is revealed, and then the next step is revealed, and then the next step is revealed. But you must make that first decision and commitment, knowing that the how will reveal itself to you after you have done that. But if you're setting a goal and you know how you're going to achieve it, it's not big enough. It's not, because I'm telling you, the purpose of the goal is not for you to actually experience that thing. Because I can tell you, and this is something I've learned from my girlfriend, my mastermind partner, Allison Chavez. So she's amazing. Go check her out and follow her. Like the thing, when it ends up happening, we create twice. Okay. So you create first in your mind and then in the physical world. Everything gets created twice. When the thing happens for you in the physical world, it's going to feel, not that you're not grateful for it, but it's almost anticlimactic, because you've been living it in your head so much already that of course it has to happen in the physical world. You've already been living it here and in your heart. So when it happens, it's like, duh. But the purpose of it is for you to be able to expand your capacity for expression, for joy. And I'm telling you what, I know my audience on social media is mixed, and men, women, non-binary, I don't care how you identify. Okay. But I know if you're following me, most likely you have a purpose and a vision on your heart and in your soul that's not just about you, right? Am I right? If you're here live, pop it in the comments and let me know if you have a vision that's bigger than you. Okay. So just say yes in the comments. Like, yes, I've got a vision that's bigger than me. I'm telling you what, when that vision is bigger than you, when you make more money, everyone wins. Everyone wins. Money goes where there's a purpose. Okay. Money always goes where there's a purpose. So if you're trying to make more money, Jamie's saying, yes, I love it. If you're trying to make more money to feel secure, it's the opposite of how it works. Money is not your source. God, universe, spirit, that is your source. Okay. Money comes in because you feel secure. That's how it works. It is not meant to make you feel secure. It comes in because you feel secure, knowing who your source is and knowing that there are multiple channels and ways for that money to come in, but you must feel secure first for it to come in. I'm saying yes, yes, yes. Thank you. I love this. Yes. Oh, Dolores, good morning. Yes, yes. So here's the thing. For those of you who are saying, yes, my purpose is bigger than me, you must bring in more money, assuming that your purpose involves you contributing in some level. I can tell you right now, when I bring in money, part of it goes to two groups that I'm really passionate about. One is the Child Rescue Coalition. They help stop child pornography, which is like, it's a heavy topic, right? And a lot was brought to light about this last year. And if I think or talk too much about it, I'll cry, which is fine, right? Like, I want to just normalize us crying because we feel things strongly. That's fine. And then the other is an animal rescue here in Atlanta that pulls these pit bulls out of these dog fighting rings. And when I make money, part of that money goes to that. When I make money, part of that money goes to support my husband to go through his DO school, his med school, so that people can be healed. When you make money and you know how money works energetically, that it must flow, and that when you bring some in, you also give some out, right? Whatever your version of tithing and giving is, other people are blessed. The causes you care about are blessed, whatever they are, whether you're like me and you care about like kids and animals, whether you care about something else, I don't care what it is. You must bring in more to be able to give at the level that you're feeling called to give. It is selfish to hold back. It is selfish to set a small vision for yourself. It is selfish to not continuously expand and go to the next level. And my big aha from this past week was you can't sit in that manifestation too long without setting that next level goal. And I thought, let me just like, my instinct was, oh, I just had 2 6-figure months. Like, I'm gonna, like, shouldn't I just, I almost doubted myself. I was like, maybe I should just like sit in it and enjoy it and be satisfied, right? How many of us feel like, oh, I should just be satisfied with what I have, because that's the messaging that we're given from society. And a lot of the women who I work with have achieved things that most people in the world would say are really something they should be grateful for and just be happy with. But there's this concept of divine discontent, which ties back in with that impression of increase that I spoke about before, which is that you are wired to expand. It is how you are built. It is what you are called for, is consistent expansion. It is, and you can't make it wrong. All right. Again, it's not coming from a place of greed, scarcity, ego. That all comes from insecurity. And that comes from not knowing who your source is and what money actually is. All right, which is just energy that is to bless your life, bless other people's lives, to help you live your fullest expansion. I've totally lost my train of thought there. What was I saying? But it's this, you must reset the vision quickly. So now that I know what I know from having had this happen in my own life, I'm going to give myself like a day next time to experience the fullness of that expression of, wow, this thing actually happened. It feels amazing. And then to set the next level goal. And, you know, if it feels like enjoy it longer, I will, but you have to be continuously up leveling what you're going for, what you're aiming for, because once you reach that capacity, and I talk a lot about money because that's what I like help people typically do, is bring in more money, but it's whatever. It can be your health, it can be your love life, it can be whatever. Once you've reached that level, that means that you are at that frequency. Everything is vibration, okay? So to reach that level, that means that is now your new financial vibration and frequency. But if you don't set the next level goal of how are you going to hit the next one, you're going to start to decay. You're going to start to fall into anxiety, fear, depression, right? Which then manifests as dis-ease in your body. So you must consistently be up leveling. And part of it too, I'm just kind of going here, like pop in questions if you have any in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. But when you stagnate, when you stay where you are, again, your vibration lowers. Your vibration, because everything is energy, it's your vibrational point of attraction. So however you're feeling in your body, that tells you what you're attracting more of into your life. So if you're feeling anxiety, what you're doing is you're sending out an energetic signal to the world to bring you more things to feel anxious about. If you're feeling depression, you're sending out an energetic signal to bring you more things to feel depressed about. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And your feeling tells you what signal you're radiating out at that point. It's all just energy. That's all any of this is. So when you stop expanding, this has been my experience, when you stop setting that next level goal, your vibration lowers. And so you start bringing in more things that just reaffirm to you that lower vibration. And I noticed this morning when I really checked in and I was like, what's going on? And it was like, oh, I haven't set like next level goals that I have no idea how I'm going to accomplish. I was feeling that lower vibe. As soon as I set these new goals and I've got them, I'm looking at them on my whiteboard right now. And y'all, they're things I have no freaking idea how they're going to happen. I have no idea, but I don't care. I don't care, because what I know is as soon as I set them and got out of my head about how they're going to happen and into my heart about feeling and just saying, yes, this is happening, I'm calling it in, and I don't know how, but I know that these are things that really excite me right now. So they must be for me. then I started to feel excited again. And I felt my vibration lift. I felt my emotional state lift. Okay. And join me. So I'm doing a free series in April on how to, it's like, well, it's basically how do you release resistance to what you want? But I'm going to teach you how to really get in touch with your emotions to tell you where you're at vibrationally and from your point of attraction, because it's really important stuff. And this is stuff we're not taught. I was coaching a man on this the other day. I've got a couple private clients who are just really enlightened men. And it was like, he had, especially I think for men, the it's like you haven't been taught as much how to get in touch with your emotions. This is just a sweeping general statement. So if this offends you, then I apologize. But my experience working with men has been, you've been taught especially to suppress the emotions and just like push through it, don't feel it, like crying makes you weak, yada, yada. So especially for men, I invite you, because this series is open for everyone, join, because you have to learn how to get in touch with how you're feeling, because it tells you what your point of attraction is. And this is regardless of man, woman, non-binary, I don't care. Jamie's saying that's why I joined. I was 100% stagnant and declining. Yes, because Jamie, and knowing you and knowing that there are a lot of people watching who are like you, you're an achiever, right? And you have big vision for your life, but you've achieved a level of success that most people would say, like, just be satisfied with, right? And so you start to go into questioning yourself and doubting yourself. And then you live in that lower vibration, and you don't, like, that lower vibration, again, it creates physical disease in your body. It's not healthy. So we must be continuously going to the next level, because that's actually what's meant for you. It's how you're wired. So if you're watching this and you're like, you've been waiting for some sort of permission to stretch and go to the next level, here it is. Okay, here it is. Tyler's saying it's all about vision. Yes, and you are the king of this, my friend. So I love you confirming that. James is saying, how do you decide how next level you go? How high? I love that. James, for me, the way that I think about it is, what is big enough that it stretches me, that I don't know how it's going to happen yet, but it doesn't put me into panic. So, and the thing with the panic is, like, if you go too much into the how, regardless of what the goal is, it can put you in panic if the goal is going to stretch you. So you got to stay out of the how regardless. But I check in with, like, I typically goal set in 90-day increments. So I look at what would feel really expansive to me in 90 days and what's stretching me. Like, so I'll share with you guys, like, I set the goal. So I've been doing $100,000, $120,000 a month. So I set the goal of 200 to start, like, to settle in at that financial frequency in the next several months. It's stretchy. Like, I have not done that before. I didn't set it for $1 million. And part of why I didn't set it that high, James, is because I don't have a purpose for that money yet. So money goes where there's a purpose. All right. It will only go where there's a purpose. So I do have a purpose for that 200 a month. Like, I have goals that I have set that I know where that money is going to go towards. And it's all things that are going to help me expand and are going to help other people expand too. That amount is stretchy for me, but it's not so stretchy that I'm flipping into just overwhelm about it. So I hope that helps. So I would look at, like, when I would settle in and I would get quiet and I would meditate and pray on it too. Like, whatever whatever that version is for you of connecting with spirit and the divine. And the other thing too, this is actually a beautiful way to do it, is if you're not clear on it, set the goal of feeling good. Like, just set the goal to feel good, because when you feel good, your vibrational point of attraction raises. At the end of the day, everything you want to bring into your life, more money, more clients, more abundance, it's because you think it's going to make you feel a certain way. You think more money is going to help you feel more free. You think more money is going to help you feel secure. It's actually the opposite. You have to feel that first in your body before the thing will come in the physical world. So that's why you can't make money your source. But if you, like, when I feel kind of wobbly about it, I just set the goal to feel good. And I notice as I feel good and as I start to feel more just happy, blissful, joyful, grateful, and you can feel good by making a list of what you're grateful for, then I'll have ideas drop in, because I'm more connected to spirit at that point. And I'll have an idea of, this is the next level to go to. So it's this dance. It's this beautiful dance of what's next and having massive gratitude for where you are in the present moment, but also not being so controlling that you're not open to that massive expansion happening faster than you could have imagined. Guys, things happened so fast for me in these past like 60 to 90 days because I decided to stop trying to control all of it. And I decided to just let it flow through me. And that was a big, for someone who had history with eating disorder and trying to, that's all about controlling things, right? Like wanting to control all of it, just releasing that was really powerful. But I decided to trust that spirit, God, source, universe have my back and that what they want for me is bigger than what I can even fathom, and that I'm worthy of it and I can have it and I desire it, and to release control and just focus on feeling good about that and feeling excited about it and then letting the ideas flow through. Okay, and then it'll drop in and you'll have the manifestation of the thing, and then you'll feel called to do something next and something greater. But we have to release a little bit of our death grip on like, I must know how this happens, because that's not how it works. You're actually cutting yourself off from inspiration and from ideas when you do this. I'm just seeing Parisa, thank you so much. Yeah, send me a DM. Happy to talk with you. I so appreciate that. James is saying that was helpful. Good. I'm glad you set my 90-day goals, so I'll revisit this in mind. Yes. And check on the goals, James. Do you know how they're going to happen? Because if you do, they're not big enough, and they're actually going to lower your vibration, which is going to make it harder for them to come in. So check in with yourself, set that goal that's stretchy enough that you're like, ooh, I almost wouldn't tell anyone that I want to achieve this because I don't know how it's going to happen. But just the thought of it gets you excited. Okay. So that's what you want to focus on. Do you guys have any other questions if you're here live? I'm happy to answer any questions about vision, how to set goals. Yeah, feel free to pop them in the chat. And I'll share two things that I channeled this morning that actually I've been thinking about like for the past several weeks to a month, but I just committed this morning. It was like, yes, this is happening. June, I'm going to host a retreat in Sedona, and it's going to be for women, but it's going to be about a lot of these topics of what we talked about today. So how do we manifest? How do we increase abundance and prosperity in your life? How do you tap into that divine feminine energy? And how do you deepen your spiritual connection? That's going to help you bring everything you want into your life more beautifully, more joyfully. So DM me if you want information on that. And I'd be happy to send you information on it. If you're a member of my 10K club, you're going to get a discount on it. So that is going to be happening. And then at the end of April, I'm going to be doing a workshop on how to turn your annual income into your monthly income. And I felt really inspired this weekend. That idea dropped in because when it happened for me, it happened so fast that I almost was like, what happened? Like, how did it happen? But I'm telling you, it's a repeatable process. I promise you, if I can do it, you can. I came from so many scarcity and lack limitation beliefs that if I can figure this out, I promise you, anyone can. But I'm going to be hosting a workshop on that, and I'm going to take you through the exact step-by-step process. And whether that's your goal to turn your annual income into your monthly income, or whether it's something else, but if you're really looking for that financial quantum leap this year, send me a DM. And I don't have a page set up yet where you can get the workshop, but it will be there. Send me a DM and I'll be happy to send you a link. That's going to be April 29th from 12 to 4 Eastern. So that's it. So again, send me a DM if you have questions on any of this. I'm loving learning this process and getting to share it with you, because I think anything is possible. Whatever you desire is possible. But I think a lot of times why we stay stuck is just we don't set a vision that stretches us because we're afraid it's not going to happen. And I want to invite you to realize that faith and fear are both two sides of the same thing. They're both believing in something that hasn't happened yet. That's it. So why not choose faith? Why not choose to believe? Why not choose to spend your energy obsessing over that thing in a good way instead of obsessing over it in a negative way? Like, why not choose to put your energy and that faith in something that hasn't happened yet in a positive direction instead of in a negative direction? You can have either. So you might as well choose the one that's good. Okay. So, all right, my loves, I'm so grateful for each of you who join live. So much massive love to each of you. Again, if you have questions on any of this, on some of the things I'm going to do coming up, send me a DM and we'll connect, or just any of what I talked about, send me a DM as well. So much love to you, and wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, guys.